In the report, you can see that there are eight fields which we elaborated, and these are all the political section of the Eastern Partnership roadmap. I would like to stress about the time frame, which covers May 2012, when the roadmap was adopted, till the September 2013, and there are certain activities which actually is not covered by this report, like the day of the presidential election in Georgia. Also, the developments in Georgia is very fast, and certain activities is already either kind of outdated, and I would like to mention those activities which actually are new and which you have to take into consideration. So I would like to start with first issue, which is fight against corruption, and I will be very brief here. I mean, in each and every topic would like to mention those success which was achieved and those limits which we still see here. Actually, all in all, I have to praise the former and the current government of Georgia and would give them the credits for promoting the EU integration process in Georgia. Of course, there were some limits, and of course, there were some spheres where more needs to be done. When it comes to the fight against the corruption, you can see that there are a lot of improvements in Georgia if you take the close look of the international surveys. You can also witness that there is very huge success when we are tackling the petty corruption, and there is like petty bribery is not really taking place. However, there are certain limits in that regard, and it refers to the corruption and the transparency and accountability at higher level of authority. Also, there is a lack of public administration independence in 2012-2013. Unfortunately, so far, Georgia has not started civil service reform, which is still pending and which needs to be done as soon as possible. And there is not really transparent work. I mean, in this period, was not very transparent system of remuneration of civil servants. In the report, you can find two main recommendations, which was elaborated by the researchers who worked on that report. One is improving the capacity of Anti-Corruption Council, which is quite weak actually, and which does not meet regularly. And second is adopting improved anti-corruption action plan and establish proper monitoring and evaluation mechanism. Second topic which is covered in the report is electoral standards in Georgia. As you know, two elections were held during this period, I mean, which is covered by the roadmap. One was parliamentary elections in 2012, which, when we witnessed first in the history of the country, peaceful transfer of power through the ballot box, not through the revolutions, either peaceful or military. We have also witnessed that Central Election Commission activities were less affiliated to the ruling party, but still challenges remain when it comes to the use of administrative resources for election purposes, party financing, voters list, which actually each and every government who comes into force promises to kind of deal with that and improve the voters list, but then at the end of the day it's somehow forgotten. And the political advertisement and media coverage. These are the main areas where government has to do a lot. Key recommendations in that regard is to include introducing the clearer regulations which would limit usage of administrative resources for electoral purposes. Second is reducing number of political appointees who have right to campaign for the political parties without any restriction. Our third topic is freedom of media, which actually we saw that quite big progress when it comes to media freedom in Georgia. It was about loosening media regulations and increasing access to the diversity of viewpoints in the media, especially in the immediate pre-election period, which used to be very kind of polarized before. Then also progress on easy access to the public information. I can give you the example that during the previous government, Ministry of Defense used to be the most closed state institution ever. It was hardly able to get any kind of information from that institution, but actually Ministry of Defense under the new government had improved in that regard. Then challenge still remains in the impartiality of media, transparency in financing, as it was mentioned by my colleague here, it's also a challenge there, and political interests in the media ownership. Here comes 3 key recommendations in the field of media. One is ensuring easy and not politicized transition at Georgian public broadcasters, which is now in the process of transition, and the new law is coming into force starting from January 2014. Then we also had facts when there was a pressure on the members of the Board of Trustees of Georgian public broadcasters, and it needs to be investigated in a proper way. And the third recommendation is about preparing and present the legal framework for the digital switchover and inform and prepare the public for these processes. Actually, Georgia has committed to the digital switchover in 2015, and unfortunately, public awareness is extremely low in that regard, and state funds which should be allocated, does not exist at all. Here comes the regional and local authorities part of the reform, and I have to highlight here that after the report was prepared, there was quite good progress when it comes to the preparation of the law, and the quite big reform in the regional and local authorities is going to start. Georgia is going to have next election in 2014, in May 2014, and it would be the regional elections. And it's envisaged that the law on regional and new law on regional and local authorities should come into force by that time. However, there were some concerns when it regards to the legislation on the local self-government, how it reflects the European Charter of local self-governance, and that was highlighted in the report. Also, there is extremely low civil participation in the local decision-making process, and when it comes to the reform, I think that's something which government has to deal with. There are 2 key recommendations here. One is revising organic law on local self-government and other key laws in accordance with the European Charter of Local Self-Government. And the second is establishing effective tools for citizens' participation in the local decision-making. As I said, it's really a huge challenge there. We also covered 2 very important topics, which is pretty much one of them. The first one is pretty much linked to the visa liberalization process, which Mr. Ambassador mentioned here. As you know, Georgia has a visa liberalization action plan in place, and we're implementing it slowly. I would start from the common security and defense policy, and Georgia did quite well in terms of framework participation agreement. It was adopted actually this week, and it decided that after Georgian forces withdraw from Afghanistan CSDP missions, Georgia will go. Georgian forces will go in Mali and in Horn of Africa, which are one of them is a non-combat mission. When it comes to the integrated border management, actually there is a lot needs to be done because the new integrated border management strategy will be developed under the National Security Review Framework. And unfortunately, there is, when you go to the border, Georgia-Armenia border, you can witness it that pretty much everything is fine there. But if you go to the green border, where you don't really see these checkpoints, you can see that the infrastructure on Georgian side is in a very dire conditions there. So here are 3 recommendations. One is which is actually done already. It's finalizing the text of the framework participation agreement for the signature before November, which is already there. As I said, it was done this week. Second is continued implementation of the integrated border management strategy provisions. And the third is improving infrastructure along the green border line. As I said, Armenian part and Azerbaijani part of Georgia's external borders, green line infrastructure is really in a dire situation. Then we have the fight against corruption, fight against cybercrime part of the report, which actually, if you go back and remember the days of the war, Russia-Georgia war in 2008, it was kind of ring bell for Georgian cybersecurity, because during that 5-day war, several state websites, state institutions' websites were broken, and it was kind of then actually Georgian government started to awake and to pay due attention to this fact. So we have cybercrime law developed in Georgia. It's not pretty much linked, but somehow there's interception, also the personal data protection law, which was adopted. We have personal data protection inspector appointed, which is also part of the requirement of the visa liberalization action plan. However, the law needs some amendments, because certain very important provisions of the law and very important articles will come into force only in 2016. And in the last couple of months, actually, we witnessed that the system of protection of personal data in a very bad situation, because the new government of Georgia revealed a lot of illegal recordings of the personal lives of different politicians or civil activists, etc., etc. There were all in all 23,000 files on different persons. It was illegal hearings on mobile phone conversations or illegal video footages. There's a key recommendation when it comes to the cybercrime issue, which is arrange security benchmarks related to the cybercrimes in the law according to the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And the last part is about the judicial reform, which still is lagging behind. And there are three main challenges which I want to highlight here and which I want to pay your attention to. One is about the financial independence of judiciary. Second is introducing procedures of negotiating judiciary budget between Georgian government and the judicial branch. And the third one is process of the promotion of judges, which is quite insufficiently regulated there in Georgia. We have two recommendations here. One is fully implement ECHR judgments, and this process should cover administrative proceedings as well. Second is judiciary should be according with certain rights in criminal proceedings in order to achieve effective balance between the principles of discretionary prosecution and victims' rights.